Welcome to SoulPrisma again. In this video, I want to introduce you to the relationship between the houses and the four elements. You may already know that each house in a birth chart is assigned an element, and the elements are distributed throughout the birth chart. In the first house, we have the element of fire. In the second house, the element of earth. In the third house, the element of air. In the fourth house, the element of water. In the fifth house, fire again. In the sixth house, earth. In the seventh house, air again. In the eighth house, water. In the ninth house, fire. In the 10th house, earth. In the 11th house, air again. And in the 12th house, water again. If we count, we find that each element is represented 3 times. Let's take a look at what each element represents in our personality. First, there's the element of fire, which represents our energy, willpower, and impulses. The element of earth represents our relationship with material things, productivity, and values, including material values. The element of air is related to our thinking, communication, and our way of making contacts. Finally, the element of water represents our psyche, emotions, and inner needs. These are just a few keywords for each element, but they're enough for you to get a first idea of how they relate to the birth chart houses. The order of the elements is always the same: fire first, then earth, then air, and finally water. To help you remember this order, you can imagine building a campfire and use it as a reference. First, you need fire, for example, in the form of matches. Then you need matter, which is the element of earth that you can ignite. A fire also needs air to burn properly. And finally, you can use water to extinguish or contain the fire. In the birth chart, we have this sequence of 4 elements 3 times. Once distributed over the houses 1 to 4, once represented by houses 5 to 8, and a third time distributed over the houses 9 to 12. Each of these 3 sequences of the elements is associated with a specific area of our lives, and I will now briefly demonstrate what this is all about. In the first sequence of the 4 elements in houses 1 to 4, the focus is on experiencing our own self. This means that in these houses, we are independent in our lives and can perceive the quality of the elements within ourselves. In the second sequence of the 4 elements across houses 5 to 8, the focus is on our own experience in relation to another person. This means that we open ourselves up to the other person and tend to need their reflection and reaction in order to experience the elements. And then in the third sequence across houses 9 to 12, the focus shifts from me and you to we, where we experience the elements not alone or through another person, but together with them, and see ourselves as a part of a community. To better understand this, let's take a closer look at each individual element. Let's start with the fire houses 1, 5, and 9. As a reminder, the element fire is about energy, willpower, and impulses. In the first house, it's about the me area in the birth chart, together with the element fire, and one could formulate, I experience my energy within me. This includes, for example, our physical energy, but also our will to assert ourselves in the world, or our survival instinct. In the fifth house, it's then about the you, together with the element fire, and a possible formulation would be, I experience my energy through you. We do this when we inspire someone and perceive their enthusiasm for us. And in the fifth house, it's therefore about our self-presentation and playing with another, for example, when flirting. In the ninth house, it then becomes a we, together with the element fire, and one could formulate it as, I experience my energy through us. We do this in the ninth house by becoming enthusiastic about a worldview or belief together with others, because in this way we share impulses or the same will in the community. Next, let's look at the earth houses 2, 6, and 10. Again, just as a reminder, the earth houses are all about material things, productivity, and values. In the second house, we are back in the self area, but this time in combination with the earth element. A possible formulation could be, I experience my productivity within myself. But what does it mean? In the second house, it's about our talents, with which we can build lasting values for ourselves by creating something. Whether it's objects, words, ideas, or feelings, doesn't matter. Here in the second house, we do something for ourselves and only from within ourselves, so we can also find hints about our self-worth here. In the sixth house, the earth element and the area of others come together. And you could formulate that, for example, by saying, I experience my productivity through you. We experience this especially when we put our matter, including our body, which belongs to our possessions, in the service of another. That's why we also find hints here about our handling of work that we do for someone else, for example, in an employment relationship. In the 10th house, which is the area of honor, we experience the earth element together with others. And one could say, I experience my productivity through us. This includes, for example, fitting our productivity and work skills into society, living our vocation within it, but also tackling things together with others and creating communal values. Now, let's look at the air houses. The air element is all about our thinking, communication, and our ability to make contact. In the third house, the air element combines with the self area, so you could say that in terms of our experience, I experience my thinking within myself. That's why the third house is also about our way of thinking and about how we express our thoughts with words and thereby establish contact with the outside world. In the seventh house, the air element and the area of you come together. Here we experience our thinking and communication through another person, for example by reflecting on what we say and listening to them. The seventh house is also the meeting house in the birth chart, simply because we are looking for contact with a you here. When the air element and the area of we come together in the 11th house, we experience our thinking mainly within a community, because we share the same interests with them. That's why group activities and friends are also a part of the meaning of the 11th house. Let's move on to the water houses. They are the feeling houses in the birth chart and are associated with the psyche, emotions, and our inner needs. In the fourth house, the me area is combined with the element of water, and because of that, it is about experiencing our own emotions ourselves. Here we look inwards to determine what we need, what we long for, and what touches us emotionally. In the 8th house, where the element of water is in the you area, we could express it as I experience my emotions through you. This is also what happens when we experience someone else's feelings as our own. Here we feel what another person emotionally does to us, how connected we feel to them, and how willing we are to continue to emotionally engage with them. In the 12th house, where the element of water and the collective area unite in the birth chart, we experience our emotions together with others. Therefore, the sense of community truly belongs to the 12th house, where the boundaries can be open, and we can feel united with something higher, such as the spiritual world. If we summarize everything, we can see that the fire houses are the impulse houses, because they are always the first house in the me, you, or we areas, and give us the impulse to experience ourselves in those areas. The earth house area are the implementation houses, where we productively implement the impulses from the fire houses. For example, in the 2nd house, we implement our survival instincts from the 1st house and take steps to secure our existence. In the 6th house, we implement our impulse to inspire others from the 5th house and are ready to serve them. And in the 10th house, we implement the impulse to engage with others in a community and contribute to the productivity of communal values. The air houses are the contact houses, where we reflect on the implementation houses, earth houses, and exchange ideas with others. And the water houses are the feeling houses, where we tune into ourselves to figure out what we emotionally need. We can also consider the water houses as the transitional houses to the next area, where the boundaries of the individual areas blur. In the 4th house, we focus on our own needs, but we also feel a desire for closeness and therefore are you, which opens us up to the 5th house and the you area. In the 8th house, we feel our emotions for someone else, but here we also have a growing desire to merge with them, which makes us willing to unite with them in the 9th house. And in the 12th house, we explore how we feel in relation to a community, but we also feel a longing for ourselves, so we withdraw from that community to be with ourselves in the first house and have the impulse to realize ourselves and advocate for ourselves. I really hope you enjoyed this video and look forward to being with you again very soon.